guys, and welcome to a new GTK property tutorial, or tutorial about properties which we can apply them on our widgets. In the last tutorial we saw that we were talking a little bit about properties and what they are, and not too much information, because I already told you the information is coming together with other tutorials. At this point, as you already know, we saw how we can set a property, and I was telling you about information about how you get the property, but I didn't reveal too much on it. Okay, so that being said, to be 100% sure about the way you the way you choose to set your properties, it depends on the way how you decide to give more let's say more respect for your own code. Because if you are deciding to code something without taking care about some important things in your code, it will bring you at some point into a situation where you don't want to come in. And I'm telling you this because, like I already said in the last video, you can just set a relief property without even know if that property exists, just by thinking that it's there and you know it. Of course, if you follow the GTK button documentation and you go and you click on the properties, you see it right here. And then if you click on it, it happens that it's there, or it happens that it is marked like this one right here. You see the GTK use stock, you see right here, says GTK button use stock has been deprecated signed version and should not be used in the newly written code. So how you will handle this situation at that point? Do you think that you need to rewrite your code and then upload it to all your users and so on, send it to the users, or you can take care about this situation? So this is the reason of our video today. Okay, so that being said, today we are going to talk about a function which is let me search for it together with you. Today we are going to talk about the function GObject, about the function which helps us to find the property class. It is called GObject class find property, and with the help of this function, in a moment I will find it. GObject find property, it's right here, and with the help of this function, as you can see, says looks up the G parameter spec for property of a class. What exactly means this? Well, the name of the property to look up. At this point, once that you call this function, it will go and check if that function was registered inside on that object during its creation. Basically, I'm going to show you something, not here because I already GitHub widgets, where I have the widgets implementations, and I'm going to search for the GTK button itself. I'm going to find it in a moment. GTK button right here. So GTK button C, and now, as I already told you in some other videos, a lot of information you get in the class init function of every widget. So this is what we are going to do now. We are going to go inside the GTK button class init, and we are going to see what exactly happens right there. So this one right here, see GTK button class init, it is right here, and you can see here we have a lot of information, but if you scroll down, you will see a list of properties which they were set. Those properties, you find them of course at the beginning of the file. Here you see, here we have the properties: label, image, relief, and so on. So basically these are the properties which are provided for the widget, and inside the class init function, the GTK button class init function, you can see information about how they handle these properties. So basically, what for us interesting now, it is setting those properties. As you can see, there are a lot of them, and I'm going to go to relief right now, right here, you see. And here you can see it is some information. It is about it has a name, it has a nickname, it has a blur or a description for you to understand better. So basically this is the information about text information about the property. And then you have the style, which is the type of the type of the value. In this case, as you already saw here, we have a GTK relief style, so this is an enumeration. So this is the type which use the property, and then its default value, which was set during its creation. So as you can see, it was set to default, the same thing which says already here. The default one is set to GTK relief normal, and of course what exactly happens later, the read write. This is or combination between read and write, and the gym price notify. Those things are not important right now for you, so don't think too much about it. Okay, so basically we know now that how those properties were created with this with the help of this function, which is called gparent_spec enumeration. And of course later, once that is done, it was called the function to install the class install property right here. You see, g_object class install property, and they start to install those properties which they created during the init of the widget class. Okay, now it is enough information. We don't need to know too much information now. As you can see, here is also the gsignal new were created for the button, preset, and so on. Whatever, it's not important right now for us. Okay, so that being said, we're going back right here now, and before we do that, we need a function itself. So I need to find it again, no problem. So g_object class find property, and here it is. So this means we need to declare a gparent_spec pointer. If we go inside here, here we can see that it is a metadata for parameter specification. So these kind of things are important, and we are going to talk about them, but not now, not here, not today, not in this video. Anyway, what do we know? We know that we need to declare a pointer to gparent_spec. So we are going to do the same thing right now. So gparent_spec, and we are going to call it pspec. Okay, now that we created, we can finally point it to our function. So pspec, we are going to point it now to the object class find property, and if you go back, says looks up for the gparent_spec for a property of a class, and says the first parameter is it's the object class, and the second one is the property name. So basically, to find out its property, we need to provide to this function not the object itself. We need to pass its object class. That was the reason why I was showing you the init, the class init function of the GTK button, so that you can see what exactly happens there, and you saw that the properties, they are found there. So this is the reason why you need to pass the object class, so that this function has access to the class init function and see and find out that information. So for this, we need what we need. We need the g_object class. So for this, there is macro which helps us. Let me g_object get class. This is a macro which we are going to use it, and says get the class structure associated with the g_object instance. So basically this is the function which we are going to use it right now. This is the macro function, whatever, and we are going to pass our button right now. So our button, and of course the next one we are going we need a property. So I'm going to call it right here const gchar property. Okay, and we are going to set it now to relief, and now we are going to use this property inside of our function right here. And once that we did that, we need to check if that function, if that property really exists. So we are going to say if spec is yes, it's null, then gprint there is no property, and here we are going to print it. Available for this whatever object. Okay, and of course once that I fix it, we are going to say here property. Else we are going to set the property. Let me move this one right here, and I'm going to comment. So what we did now, we are searching for a property called relief. This property, basically we are passing it in the object class find property function together with the object class of the button. And once that this property it is available inside of this button class, it will be put it inside our structure, and now we have access to it, and because it's there, it's working, we know it's there, we can basically set it together with our object set function. Now I'm going to make some change. I'm going to set now the property, and not like this, and not the way how was provided before. Now we are going to set the property because it should be there. Let's see what happens. Now as you can see, it works fine. Why it's working fine? Because as you can see, the relief is gone, it's set to none. So this means basically it's working. If it's not working, this means I'm going to change the name of the relief to something else, like a long F after a relief, and now you will see they said there is no property available for this object, and of course it is not in set. So this is the right way how you can provide information about the property itself, if it is there, if the property exists, and if the property really exists. This is the way how you find you set it for real. Now of course the settings the same things happens to the GObject get button. Once that is there, you can also call it with the right value, and if you need the value, for example, you find the property, you know that it's there, you know that the property exists, and now you want to set the property to this value, and or you need to find the default value, then this is the right way. But there is another problem here. We do know how to find a property, we do know how to set the property, we do know how to get the property, we do know how to set the value to the property, but we do not know which value which is the type of the value. So basically we cannot just say int value, isn't it? What do you think it happens now? Let's see, int value. I'm going to compile it and run it, and for you looks fine. Why? Because I'm not going to tell you why right now. Why? How about if I say char and I'm going to put a pointer here or something like this? You don't know exactly, isn't it? Because you don't know what kind of data type use the property when stores its value here, isn't it? Of course, you can go back to your button and check the relief property has its value, its name, its color, relief, and we see here, and then the GTK relief style, you see, we already know now that it's an enumeration, but we know because we check it and we see it all the time. But how we can handle this situation so that we can rely on the fact that we can do this programmatically, so that we don't need it every time to search on internet or to check the documentation again. For this, you need to know how it's working. Of course, some of the IDE like mine's code blocks right here can give you some information, but this is still not enough. The better way to do this, we are going to talk in the next video. Okay, so that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.